Sheffield University began excavating the site on South Uist in Cladh, Hallan in the Western Isles in 1994 and finished in 1995. The excavator team found that the site was from the late Bronze Age and was radiocarbon dated. However, modern agriculture has virtually destroyed much of these remaining sites around Scotland, and as a result, in the eastern parts and in the lowlands, we have far less archaeological evidence from this period than in the northern and western areas. The site itself was discovered to include an uncommon and rather unorthodox 8-figure double-roomed roundhouse, House 112, and a second house, House 401, was discovered within the vicinity of the first, followed by a third house, House 726. Interestingly though, it appears as if 726 was actually built on top of the remains of 401. A second notable finding in 1998 was House 640, a multicellular structure located to the north of House 401. 401 was found southeast of the first house within a sand quarry during the excavation of 1996. This was completely excavated and consisted of an eastern entry into a subcircular room and then onto a semi-rectangular room. About 30 metres north of the House 112, an excavation exposed stonework within a small sandy quarry. The stones formed a rough wall. This may be part of another house, or could be a field boundary, or just a simple collection of stones. Interestingly, there were also indications of a Viking Age settlement patterns within the local area, as would have made sense given the Viking occupation of the region during the 9th and so on centuries. This continuing pattern of Iron Age Viking settlement clusters support an idea of an early township, and that the system of land allotment amongst townships is essentially an Iron Age phenomenon which has survived substantially intact until the clearances of the 19th century, in which many of these sort of towns were completely abandoned and wiped off the map. Now, the finds from this site are most certainly unorthodox given the nature. This included a copper alloy disc, a fragment of shale bracelet, a Stumloam weight, 14 scapular shovels, 18 antler picks, smash pots, and a sheep burial, as well as many bone points. A suspected ram skull was also found beneath the floor of the entrances to House 401 and 726. Special finds in 1999 include a copper alloy ring, copper-plated lock ring, 2 bone pins, a bone needle, 30 bone points, dogtooth pendant, a carved pig tusk, a wild boar tusk, and 18 antlers, more shovels, more spindles, a few whalebone artefacts. There were also some saddle cairns, a gold-plated thick bronze ring, bronze wire, smashed pots, and many animal bones. Evidence of metalworking suggests a long-distance metal trading connection, as does the gold-plated bronze ring. These are common in Ireland and known throughout Britain, but this is the first time they have been found on the Western Isles. Earlier, Bronze Age pottery was found in occupation layers between windblown sand below the late Bronze Age midden and early Iron Age double roundhouse. There's a lot more to discuss about findings, but there simply isn't enough time. So what exactly do we gain out of this excavation? First and foremost, I believe it is critical to highlight the site's activity across a wide range of time periods. As previously stated, there are relics from the early, the mid, and the late Bronze Ages, followed by the expansion into the Iron Age and then the Viking Age, hypothesized in the 9th century. Furthermore, we could question ourselves as to why this location was so popular for community settlement. According to archaeologists such as Pearson, there was little to no evidence such as Mesolithic presence on the Western Isles, with only a few areas resembling a Neolithic presence. Furthermore, until the late Iron Age and early medieval period, the archaeological and historical census records for these areas of western and northern Scotland were extremely fragmented, especially in places like the Western Isles. So in relation to the site, it's monumental given the abundance of evidence that we have, and it indicates that the region was desirable for many reasons, and my most likely guess would be grazing animals or raising crops. And we know that even now, because the Isles have a primarily agricultural society. Identical sites such as Dunlagay in west from the same period, included objects identical to those recovered in Cladh, Hallan. The presence of high-class goods, such as gold-plated rings or wheel-headed pins, suggests that the site was once populated by more renowned individuals, or at least people of higher status. This site isn't unique in the sense that it was reused time and time again. That's not uncommon. However, I do think that this site is unique in its lifespan from early Bronze Age to the Viking Age. The Iron Age itself is currently one of the more major topics of controversy in Scottish archaeology, and there is substantial opposition to the old idea that Scotland was isolated during this time. Now, the metalwork I've already mentioned that was found in Ireland and the rest of Britain kind of disproves this, but there's some other elements, such as the Newbridge chariot in Edinburgh. Was a element that was found which disproves this idea that Scotland was fully isolated, or at least helps tackle that idea. That's one area I found for this to challenge. But to summarise, Cladh Hallan is an inherently valuable source. From Bronze Age to Viking Age, it has thousands of years of history concentrated in such a small area, and the preservation has allowed for the excavation of unique settlement, complete with double roundhouse, human burials, pottery shards, multiple artefacts that allow us to study the culture and get an idea of the daily life of those who lived there before. And additionally to note, it's also one of the few sites where prehistoric mummies have been discovered within the entirety of Scotland and the UK.